Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Pigskin Addicts back again with another video. So as you guys seen last night, the Chargers, they got it done. They're in the playoffs. This is the first time in 4 years the Chargers are in the playoffs. So this is a very good achievement for this team. I want to start off by saying that before I get into any of the specifics. This is a great achievement. It's been 4 long years since the Chargers have seen the playoffs. We all know what happened the last time the Chargers were in the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Then went up to New England, got smacked around pretty good by a pretty damn good New England Patriots team. But, that was almost a lifetime ago is what it seems like. So this is a good achievement for the Chargers. I am happy, very happy that they are back in the playoffs. And, this is something that can't be discounted, right? You have to give them credit. And this is what we wanted. This is obviously the outcome that all of us fans wanted. And we wanted to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. A lot of the league wanted to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. And we're finally going to get that. So very happy on that front. Now to speak to specifics, right? The Chargers are in the playoffs, right? They are a playoff team, but this team is extremely flawed. It has pretty much been a tale of two teams, right? From the first half of the season to now, the back half of the season. You first have to start off by giving the defense immense credit. This is the third game in a row that the defense has come out and really showed out. They really balled. What did they have? 7 sacks last night. 7 sacks is a damn good feat, right? For any NFL team. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. You're playing against other NFL teams, right? There's only 32 NFL teams, so you're playing against other NFL players. To get 7 sacks in a game, that's something that you can't spit on, and it's something that you can't just overlook, right? That was a great feat by the defense. The defense is really starting to take shape. I've been very impressed. Last 3 games have been very good. Even without Derwin James. And, Derwin James was ejected last night after that big hit. Even if he wasn't ejected, he was going to be out of the game. He was concussed himself. But, the defense did not lack, it didn't drop off after he left the game. So that was a very good sign. I think this defense is really starting to show something. And they've rounded a corner. So this is something that obviously had to happen. Brandon Staley is a defensive coach. So your defense has to come about, right, at some point, right? Your defense has to get stops. And you have to be able to, get pressure on the quarterback, turn teams over, do all of that stuff. Chargers also had 3 interceptions as well, too. So it was a fantastic effort defensively. I think it's something to build on going forward. And this defense is going to be needed in the playoffs. Now, as good as the defense was last night, we can't say the same about the offense. The offense was pretty putrid. They were really not able to take advantage of the Colts' turnovers. And I think that is a very huge thing that should be noted, right? When you get to the playoffs, number one, you're not going to be facing teams who turn the ball over a lot, right? So that is not going to happen all that much. But in the opportune times that you do get turnovers, you need to capitalize on them, right? You have to score points off of them, and you have to score touchdowns, especially in the position that the Chargers are going to be in, right? They're going to be a wild card seed. They are going to have to capitalize off turnovers. They are going to have to score touchdowns when they do get turnovers, right? Interceptions, fumbles. They need to convert those into 6 points. That's what needs to happen in order to give them the best chance, to maximize their position as a wild card. They will be on the road, right, in hostile territory. So, maximizing off of a team's turnovers is something that has to happen. Number 2, and the most obvious thing offensively, is the play calling, right? And again, this is a dead horse that we have beat into the ground week after week after week after week. Joe Lombardi's play calling, Joe Lombardi's offensive scheme is complete and utter trash. There really is no other way to describe it. I've tried to be diplomatic about it, all throughout the season, even in the off season when I was doing videos, I tried to be diplomatic, but it's rearing its ugly head, and the head that it has is extremely ugly. You cannot stifle an offense any worse than Joe Lombardi is doing with his play calling. The creativity is not there. The execution is not there. And the Chargers, they have no discretion about what they do. everybody knows what's coming, right? If it's a 3rd and 3, if it's a 3rd and 4, everybody knows what's coming. I tweeted out, I seen a couple of other accounts, they tweeted out a screen grab from the TV copy, right? The TV copy was the Chargers. It was a 3rd down, I believe, in the first quarter. It was stick routes all across the board. The Chargers were covered, obviously, and I think it was the one that Herbert ended up throwing an interception on. It's bad. It's bad stuff. It's bad and it's predictable, right? The way that things are matching up now, it looks like the Chargers, if everything stays the way that it is now, it looks like the Chargers are going to be traveling to Cincinnati to play the Bengals in the cold in January, right? And this is a Bengals team who, again, they have been one of the hottest teams in the league since week 3 or 4, right? They are very good offensively, right? They can do pretty much everything offensively, but defensively, they adjust. They have a defensive coordinator, Lou Anarumo, I believe his name is. He is, I think, the best in the league at adjustments, second half adjustments, 3rd quarter, 4th quarter. He adjusts. He plays chess. He's able to stop what you do best, right? And there is not really anything the Chargers do best on offense. What the Chargers do best on offense is Justin Herbert, right? We all know this. It's been no secret. But I think it behooves the Chargers to really, really try to get something going offensively. They have to build momentum offensively. You cannot go into the playoffs looking like this. Offensively, they must build some momentum. You cannot look like this in the playoffs. You're not going to go up to Cincinnati, run stick routes, and think you're going to win the game. It's not going to happen. The opposite is going to happen. The Chargers will get routed. And I tweeted this last night as well, too. If the Chargers go up to Cincinnati with this offense, they will be routed. They will be routed. So I understand why people want to celebrate right now. If this offense travels, if this is the offense that we have in the playoffs, they will not win a playoff game. They absolutely will not win a playoff game. And, I think from that standpoint, from that perspective, does a playoff berth really, really hold any weight? If the Chargers go up to Cincinnati and they lose by 14, 17 points, does it really hold any weight, right? And that's where we're at. We won't know it for, another 3 weeks or whenever the playoffs start, whenever the wild card weekend is. We won't know it for a while. But at this point right now, you must build good habits going into the playoffs. The defense has come around. The defense has come around. Joey Bosa is going to be back at practice this coming week. So that's something that is going to energize the team as well, too. It's going to energize the defense. You're getting, your best pass rusher back. It's only going to energize that part of the ball. But as good as Joey Bosa is, he doesn't call offensive plays. He doesn't play on offense, right? The offense needs to get their thing together. The defense can do as much as they can. This is the modern NFL. This is 2022. The defense can only do so much. The defense can only be so good. You have to score points. The days of the 2000 Ravens, the days of the 85 Bears are over. You cannot win that way anymore, right? You can have a pretty damn good season playing like that, right? You might be able to sneak into the playoffs, but going up against teams that have really great quarterbacks, you need to match points. And I think that is the most important thing that the Chargers need to do going forward. This was, the second straight game that Justin Herbert doesn't have a touchdown pass? That's unacceptable. It's really, really, really unacceptable. Justin Herbert should be having touchdown passes every single game. That should not be a thing where he's going consecutive games without touchdown passes. That means that he's not executing in the red zone. And to me, that is one of the biggest problems the Chargers have. And that's what I'm going to touch on right now. Red zone offense has been absolutely horrible, absolutely putrid. And there's no reason why it should be. There's absolutely no reason why the red zone offense should look the way that it looks. It's awful. It's terrible. And it's not surprising anybody. It's not fooling anybody. You have a limited amount of space to work in the red zone, right? Everybody knows this. This is football 101. You have a smaller, more confined space to work with. Your execution, your play calling needs to be on point. And if you're not going to run the ball, if you're not going to be a power running team, you have to call plays for players that are going to give you the best chance to score touchdowns. The Chargers have two guys, Mike Williams at 6'4", who can jump out of the gym. You have Donald Parham, the tight end, at 6'8". This guy is as tall as LeBron James. There's no reason why either of these guys should not be targeted in the red zone. There's absolutely no reason why. You have guys who can go up, high point a ball, come down with it for a score. It's an easy play for the offense. It's an easy throw for Justin Herbert, and it's easy points on the board for the Chargers. It does not make sense. It doesn't make sense why these guys are not being targeted. Why do you have them there if they are not going to be targeted where they can make the biggest difference? And these guys can make a huge difference. They can make so much of a difference down there in the red zone, especially when you get the ball. When you have a finite amount of opportunities in the red zone every single game, right? Most teams are not getting in the red zone more than, maybe 4 times a game, maybe if you're having a good game. You must take advantage of those opportunities. You cannot leave it up to your kicker. You can't leave it up to field goals. That's not going to play in the playoffs. It's just not going to play. It's not going to be a recipe for success. They have to get better. Joe Lombardi, and I know that I've said it before, and I know that this is something that is not going to happen, but Joe Lombardi needs to get better. Brandon Staley needs to force Joe Lombardi to get better because this does not work. The offensive play calling does not work. It's out of sequence. There is absolutely no flow to the offense. These are just plays, right? These are just plays being called, and sometimes they work. Most of the time they don't, and that's how the offense is being called right now. And this is a very, very, very bad thing when you have a quarterback as talented as Justin Herbert. When you have an offense that's talented, right? Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, you guys seen what they did last night. If you're able to scheme these guys open, it will make things so much easier on Justin Herbert. You have Donald Parham. He had some big catches last night as well, too. You have other guys. You have Josh Palmer, right? You have Stone Smart. You have a bunch of guys, and obviously Austin Eckler out of the backfield. You can scheme these guys open, but it does not make sense to call games the way that they call them. Stick routes behind the line of scrimmage. None of those work. They haven't worked all season long. And for Joe Lombardi to continue calling those plays over and over and over and over again, it does not make sense. It doesn't make sense. And again, you want to win in the playoffs. A playoff berth is great. It's great. I'm happy. I'm excited. But it doesn't mean anything if you don't at least compete and if you don't put your best foot forward in the playoffs. And I'm not saying the Chargers have to go out and go on a Super Bowl run. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying they have to compete. You cannot spend all this money in free agency and not compete in the playoffs, right? You cannot have a bad one and out. You just can't do it because once you're in the playoffs, there is no next week. There is no next week unless you win. You have to put your best foot forward. You can't go into it and say, hey, Justin Herbert, save us in this playoff game. It's not going to work. This is a team game. It's a team game. It's the ultimate team game, and it becomes even more of a team game in the playoffs. So you need everything else working around your superstar quarterback. And to be honest, guys, that's what worries me. It really, really worries me. This is, this is a great feat. Again, this is a great feat. Chargers haven't been in the playoffs in a long time. I get it. Completely understand it. But the way that they have been playing, the way that this offense has been looking, the pedestrian nature of the play calling, I don't know. It's unlikely that the Chargers make a move, the offensive coordinator move going into the playoffs. It's highly unlikely. It's unprecedented. I don't ever remember it happening. Maybe it has, but I can't remember. But it's highly unlikely that happens. But anything short of that happening, the Chargers are just going to have to make do with what they have, right? They have to hope to make it a messy game, a penalty-ridden game, right? Maybe you try to capitalize off of, the other team's mistakes, right? If that is the Bengals, if it ends up being the Jaguars or whoever it is, you're going to have to hope to capitalize off of their mistakes because offensively the Chargers are just not good enough to go anywhere and put up enough points to really, really put pressure on a team. Jacksonville can score. Cincinnati can score. The teams in the playoffs, they can score. They can put up points on the board. We've seen, all these teams put up 30-plus points multiple times this year, right? And look pretty effortless doing it. So that's the one thing that worries me. You're going to have to match points. And, again, I love what the defense is doing. I love how they're playing. I love how aggressive they are. I love that they were able to generate a pass rush last night. But, again, without an offense to match points, without an offense to really put pressure on an opposing defense, there is a ceiling for this team, and there's only so far that they can go. So, again, I don't want to be Mr. Pessimist here, but, this is the reality of this team. And, we can get excited and all of that stuff, and I'm not telling anybody not to get excited, but you got to realize, you have to understand that this team is very, very flawed. There is one man that is really holding this team back. He's been talked about in national media for what's it been, weeks now, right? So we understand that if things don't go our way in the playoffs, we pretty much know why. And it's not all on Joe Lombardi. I'm not putting everything on him. It's not 100% his fault, but he does take a lot of blame in this. He is the guy that is calling plays, and he seems to be doing whatever he wants to do. Brandon Staley doesn't really seem to have a handle on it. There's nothing different about this offense, right? They're still not putting pressure on defenses, it's just not a great look. And when you have a quarterback as talented as Herbert, you want to maximize his opportunities, at winning the Super Bowl. And unfortunately, this year I just don't think that his opportunity is going to be maximized. But only time will tell, right? We'll see what happens. The Chargers could get on a run, and they can prove me wrong. They can prove a lot of people wrong, right? I would love that. I would love to come on here and make videos about how wrong I was because the Chargers are in the AFC Championship game or whatever. But the writing is pretty much on the wall for this team, and if Herbert is not perfect, then it's going to be hard for this team to really pull out victories in the playoffs. That's just my little spiel. But again, I am very happy. I'm very excited that the world is going to be able to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. This is what everybody wanted. He's going to probably be going up against another great young quarterback, right? Probably Burrow, possibly Trevor Lawrence. We don't know. We don't know what the seeding is going to look like yet. But as of right now, the Chargers are clinched, and they've punched their ticket, so they are in the tournament. So at the end of the day, that's really all you want, right? You want to be in the tournament. Anything can happen. We've seen 6 seeds have Super Bowl runs. It's happened multiple times, so it's not unprecedented. But honestly, really just depends on if the Chargers get on a good run, right? If they're able to build some momentum, and they don't have to be perfect, but if they're able to build some momentum and put some points up on the board by any means possible, I think they'll be fine. And I think they can, have a really good chance of winning a playoff game. But, as of right now, there's still a lot to improve on. The good thing about this, though, is that there's 2 games left. There's 2 games left for the Chargers to get this right. So I think that should be the focus going into it, right? These next 2 games at home against the Rams coming up on New Year's Day, and then at Denver. So you're playing 2 teams that don't have a lot to play for, but you can start to develop good habits offensively. You can start to build something offensively. You can start to try to build a running game, try to be more effective in the running game. It doesn't have to be for a lot of yards, but try to, maximize yards per carry, and try to maximize red zone opportunities, especially running the ball, right? So you can obviously do that. You can obviously try to get Mike Williams, Donald Parham, right? You can get some of those guys into a rhythm. Keenan Allen had a huge game last night. He's already in the rhythm. He's ready to go. So you can start to build good habits. There's still, 2 games left. There's still 120 minutes worth of regular season football left. So I think that is a really, really, really great thing for the Chargers going into the playoffs, right? Building good habits, right? Maybe trying some stuff, experimenting with some stuff. That's what I would do if I was Joe Lombardi. Let me pull out some plays that we haven't ran. Let me try something new. Let's put something out there that we haven't done before, right? Let's go down the field. Let's call some reverses. Let's call some flea flickers like he did yesterday. That was a pretty creative play call. It wasn't executed perfectly, but, creative nonetheless. I give him credit for that. But this is the time now to start executing some stuff, right? Pull some stuff out. Let's do some different things. Do some different things because you're in the playoffs now. So it doesn't matter, if you lose the next 2 games or whatever, you're already in the playoffs. So let's do something. Let's try to build on something. Let's try to build some offensive momentum. And let's go bombs away and let's see what happens. Maybe you can parlay some momentum into, a big offensive showing, right, in the wild card. You never know. But, they have 2 more games to experiment with. So, I'm pretty optimistic looking at that going forward. If I see good things in these next 2 games, then I'm going to be very optimistic. But they should completely just throw everything to the wall. Now you're already in the playoffs. You don't have to worry about that anymore. Let's go out there. Let's throw the ball downfield and let's try to put pressure on defenses. Let's forget about trying to be perfect. Go out there, pin your ears back, and just let it go. Bombs away. If I see that the next 2 weeks, I'm going to get very, 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 very excited. It's unlikely. I'm not counting on it, but I'm hoping. It's a possibility it could happen, but I'm hoping that's what happens. So they have time to work on some of their deficiencies, and that's where the good news is about this Charger team. But that is my thoughts on this. Sorry about canceling the live stream last night. I had some family stuff to tend to with the kids, and you know how if you guys have kids, you have young kids at home, you know how it is. So sorry about that, but I'm back here today, and I'm happy the Chargers have clinched. They will be in the playoffs, first time in 4 years. Cannot wait to watch, and again, hopefully they're able to get some momentum going into the wild card game. But that is all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for all the support. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all my new subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. Shout out to all my old subscribers as well, too. Thank you for holding me down. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that button below me and the bell notification as well, too. And don't forget to smash the like button on your way out. That's all I got for this video, guys. I'll be back again tomorrow with more content. And until next time.